Welcome to Missoula, Montana, where the top 8 American Legion baseball teams in the region have arrived and hopes to be the last team left standing here on Sunday and move on to the American Legion World Series in Shelby, North Carolina next week. So glad you're with us here on SWX. First of 2 games alongside Ben Weinman. I'm Riley Corcoran. We're excited for this first showdown, Ben, between the best of the best. 2 state champions come in, feel really good about their chances to be that last team left standing and move on to the World Series. We'll first start with the Billings Royals, a team that has worked so hard to get to this point. 10 seniors, 8 of them going on to play collegiately, and they needed all the magic in the world to come out on top last week.
Yeah, they really did. In Kalispell, we called them the Cardiac Kids. They won their first state title since 2013. Really, every single win. They had 5 wins to get that state title. All 5 came down to a 1-run game. They had extra inning games, excluding the Pièce de Resistance, that title game against the Lethbridge Elks, walking off the Montana State Championship. Pretty hard to beat that, but 10 seniors, as you mentioned, Riley. They got a lot of firepower, both offensively and defensively. I expect this Billings Royals team to be one of the teams that goes far in this tournament.
Their opponent tonight has built quite the dynasty in the Aloha State. The Waipahu Marauders return to the big stage here at the Northwest Regional. After a 1-year absence, they won 7 consecutive state titles, and they know how to win on this stage. They've been to the World Series 4 times in those 7 years.
Really dominant. When you think of youth baseball, especially Little League, Legion level, you think Hawaii. The kids over there on the islands love baseball, and when you think of a Hawaiian baseball team, a lot of small ball, a lot of runners in play, a lot of steals, hit and runs. But this one, they play really good defense. Saw these kids last night when they rolled into town, Riley, and they're big. So I expect them to light up the scoreboard today in Missoula.
We have a great night of baseball planned for you here on SWX, so pull up a chair, sit back and relax. First pitch coming up between the Billings Royals and Hawaii here on SWX. And welcome to Ogren Park at Allegiance Field. We are excited to be here on SWX alongside Ben Weinman, Riley Corcoran with you. Game 3 of the day of the Northwest Regional features 2 state champions, 2 the teams really you can consider as the favorite coming in here in Hawaii against Montana. Hawaii is the home team for this game. They're out in the field first. Can't miss him with those jerseys. The Waipahu Marauders, we talked about it in the open. They built the dynasty. They've been the state champion 8 of the last 9 years. They've made 4 World Series appearances since 2011. Royals have their hands full today, Ben.
They really do, and I think it's kind of a tough luck for the Billings Royals. You know, you win the state tournament, and you're like, great, cool, we're coming into the regional tournament. Great. Your first team you get to play, the Hawaii Marauders, a team that, as you just mentioned, has a very historic tradition here in the American Legion teams. I would expect probably maybe these 2 teams could play even on Sunday for the title.
Absolutely. First time for the Royals winning the state tournament in 5 years. They did it in dramatic fashion. Leading things off is Brooks Zimmer, 6'7" center fielder, headed to MSU Billings next year to play. Just a skosh under 400 for his season average. He was the state tournament MVP in Kalispell last week.
And Riley,
And he will line it over the shortstop, Araball's head. The Royals are in business early. Zimmer with a hard turnaround first, but he will retreat.
And the reason he was the MVP, as I was just going to mention, is just he did the hits. He had a couple walk-off hits for the Royals, this team, as well as had a dominant pitching outing on the mound against the Billings Scarlets. That really propelled them into that championship game. So I would expect we'll call him Brooks Zimmer's name a lot. And then this kid right here, we're going to be calling his name a lot too.
Jaden Kay, the shortstop, going to North Dakota State next season. He's had a phenomenal year, 378 for his batting average, leads the team with 55 RBIs. A great story, Ben. He was planning to go to a junior college, and then the Gopher Classic came about this year, an exclusive tournament that really there's a ton of scouts, a lot of spotlight. All of a sudden, North Dakota State liked what they saw, and boom, Jaden Kay's future flipped around pretty quickly.
Yeah, he'll be joining Ben Tallman, who's a stud for the Billings Scarlets. He and Ben are going to be playing on the team next year. But when you can get Division I scholarship over junior college, you got to take that. And Jaden in the tournament last week in Kalispell just performed admirably. Was the batting MVP of the tournament and played some really great defense at shortstop too.
And he ropes one to left center field. The Royals with back-to-back hits in the same spot to start things off. They're in business for the heart of their order for Jaden Kay. And they fell behind in that championship game. He had a game-tying home run in the 5th inning. I mean, that doesn't say he thrives on the pressure. I don't know what does.
Yeah, when we interviewed him after the tournament win, they won the title, he was surprised himself. He's like, I just got a hold of one, and it just kept going. And Legion ball, depending on the tournament and where you're playing at, home runs might be a long time to come. But this one here, 287 down the right field line. We could see some dingers today, Riley.
And the lineup does not let up from here. The leading batter on the team for the entire season steps in, and Jarrett Linewan.
The hero.
For the hero, you're right. He had the walk-off single, and he was joking about it. That wasn't his hardest hit ball,
no.
But it was a little blooper that fell into center field. That's all the Royals needed to complete that comeback to beat Lethbridge to move on here. But Linewan, obviously, another mainstay in this order.
He was. Jared also was, when we talked to him after the game, he was joking when he gets the game-winning run, they win the tournament, they're running down the right field line, and he was like, I'm kind of scared. We got a lot of big guys on our team. I don't want to get crushed, you know? They kind of dog-piled on him. He was like, it's a moment that I'll never forget.
Envisioning the dog pile is fun.
Sure.
But once you're in the dog pile, you're thinking, man, is this really what we wanted to do the whole year?
Yep.
But Linewan going to Yakima Valley Community College next year. He thrives with runners in scoring position, Ben. 493 for his batting average, and that's a situation that presents itself right here.
And he's the third hitter. He's the leader on this team. Probably along with him and Jaden Kay, a lot of guys turn to these two guys for advice. He's the catcher of this defense, so they're getting their cues from Jared, and only fitting that the captain had the biggest hit of their season so far.
Leads the team in hits, doubles, runs, walks.
Pretty good.
Pretty darn good. Slightly open stance from the right side. He takes a 3-1 pitch outside for ball 4. Trouble brewing early for Waipahu, and their pitcher, Kobe Russell. Every team here has a ton of good pitching, but we were a bit surprised that Hawaii did not go with Logan Yee. Yogan Lee actually pitched 3 games and got 3 victories in their state tournament, but they're opting to go with Kobe Russell today, who threw 6 innings, 4 hits, 2 runs, also picked up a victory in the state tournament, but it's interesting how the strategy works.
Yeah, and that's the tough thing about this tournament. It's a 5-day tournament, and with the American Legion pitch count nowadays, when you throw your #1 starter in the first game, you're hoping that might not be his last game of the tournament, because if the way the pitch count works, if you throw him in the first game, he's not eligible to come back until that very last game if you make it to the championship. So maybe there might be a little strategy by the Hawaiian team to maybe save their ace starter for maybe game number 2 or 3.
Dawson Smith will step in. Bases loaded, nobody out here in the top half of the first inning. Dawson Smith, a lanky first baseman, just graduated. A point under 300 for his season batting average. Russell elects to go in the full windup with nobody away and the bases loaded, and he's missed badly here to the last 2 batters. Nerves also a factor. This team flew a long way to be here. A lot put into this moment.
Yeah, it took them a long time to get over here to Missoula. They had to fly from Honolulu over to Portland. They actually took a flight from Portland up to Seattle, and then Seattle over to Missoula. So it took basically a full day of travel for this team yesterday, and they got in here to our little banquet that we had, the welcome banquet yesterday, and you could tell these guys were a little tired, but excited to be here. But for Dawson Smith, Riley, had a rough tournament. Didn't really have that couple moments that he had during the regular season. I expect Dawson to maybe bounce back, and especially being in that 4th spot, you expect a lot from him, and there you go. You get the walk and the first RBI of the tournament.
And sometimes in a roundabout way, that can build confidence. Hey, I didn't swing at a bad pitch. And he picks up an easy RBI. First 4 Royals been able to reach, and Orlando Gante will come out to the mound right now to try and settle down his pitcher. Gante has been kind of the orchestrator of this run for Waipahu. Does not have a son on the team, as maybe most managers do at this level, but he has been the manager each time this squad has went to the World Series. I caught a couple clips of him mic'd up when I was prepping last night, and he's quite the character out there, but he tries to keep these guys loose, prepared for the moment. And this isn't his first tense mound visit. You're
loose, meaning like the island style.
That's right.
The hang loose, the shakas, throw the shakas up there. Yeah, I mean, we talked about in the opening, but when you think about a Hawaiian baseball team, Hawaiian baseball has a style, and it's great defense, doing the little things to get runs across the scoreboard, great pitching, and Orlando Gante kind of embodies that. When you think of Hawaii, you just think of baseball. And so these kids, even though they have no outs so far, this inning can be very easily over very quickly.
Sam Evenson will step in, the designated hitter for the Royals. Headed to Williston State next year. First lefty in the order, a lot of size. As you mentioned, 3 guys over 6'3" in the first 5 in the order, and waving through that one and missing is Evenson.
And Sam had a great state tournament up in Kalispell. He's a big guy, a little bit slower than some of the other guys, but it was fun to watch him. He had a couple plays where he was running into the bases, scored from second to home on a couple singles, so he can move his feet when he needs to.
fouls it back, and just looking at him at the plate, he makes that bat look small.
He does. He really does. He really absolutely does. Yeah, and in this field, Riley, you know, really allows power hitters just to tee off really short and on both right field and left field foul poles, and a lot of space out there in the outfield, so we could see a lot of doubles into the gaps.
Very tempting for these hitters to try and do that. A little bit of heat behind that one from Russell. It'll miss outside. Action already in the Hawaii bullpen, and you're to the stage now that if you are Orlando Gante, that hey, if I keep Russell here under 20 pitches, he can come back pretty quickly, or towards the next day, as he's clearly losing his confidence right now, that there might be an early hook. Yeah, absolutely, and that might be the smart play. You know, the kid just is not his day today. We'll take him out, put him on the bench for the rest of the game, and let him regroup tomorrow and get another pitcher out there that can start throwing some strikes, because the Royals, they can score runs in a hurry, as we saw up there in Kalispell, and they got the late inning magic too. So 2-2 pitch off the end of the bat. It will get down for a base hit. Holding up at third base briefly was Jaden Kay, and if left fielder Kila Arechi was aware of that, they could have had the force play at home, but instead the Royals score. Yeah, excuse me, Riley. Yeah, he as you see on the replay here, sponsored by Metro RV of Billings, you see maybe Kay's going to pop into your screen there as that looks on Evanson, but he kind of starts retreating back to third base when the ball's in the outfield, and you're right, if the left fielder had noticed that, it would have been an easy out to home. Matthew Arabal, the shortstop, was within an arm's length, but just missed it. And the Royals continue to roll here in the first inning. Still nobody out, and the base is loaded for Dan Blanchard. He was the hero, at least on the mound, in the state championship game. This Royals squad very deep. They feel they have 4 ace-like pitchers. Blanchard was saved until the final day through a complete game to get the win, and now earns the start at third base. We'll see what he can do at the plate. A key spot, especially been a big change going from 9 innings to 7-inning games. It's magnified here in the first inning. You get down 4-5-0, things can change. Yeah, you only get a certain amount of times through your lineup at a 7-inning game compared to a 9-inning game. So, you know, this is going to be really, even if the Royals don't even score for the rest of the inning, just the fact that they get 6-7 guys up to the plate this inning is going to reload their lineup, reset their lineup so they can get more at-bats for their 1 through 4 hitters. What are the Royals going to do with the lead? They've been behind all the state tournament in Kalispell. It's a great call, yeah. And you just mentioned Dan during the championship game. The Lethbridge Oaks, who they beat in the title game, came in. They scored 25 total runs in the 2 games leading up to the championship game. Dan held that offense, that very potent offense from north of the border, to only a few runs, and it really kept his team in the ball game and allowed them to come back and win the game. Lethbridge only scored in the first inning. They did not score, to further your point, there in the final 6. As Blanchard pops that one up, it's in foul ground down the first baseline. Giving chase over there is Sugimoto, but not in time to make the play, and staying alive is Blanchard for one more. And if you're Hawaii, Riley, everyone's just got to take a deep breath. They're a very potent offense as well. They can put runs out on the scoreboard, but put a lot of crooked numbers up there very quickly. And so this game is not obviously over yet. But I would expect maybe we should get a pitching change here. Got to be in the next couple at-bats. You would think one more guy reaches here against Russell. Might be time to make a change. Here's the 2-2. Swung on and missed, strike 3. Blanchard goes down swinging. The first out recorded. Took 6 batters to do so. We'll see if that settles in Russell a bit. Someone that graduated last year, so 19 years old and returning. You mentioned the experience from this team. You see a wide array of it. Like tonight, we'll see Cheyenne, a team that won 63 games this year, only with 4 seniors. Well, this Hawaii team, very different. First pitch cut on and missed. They have 5 players that came back from college and 13 seniors. No juniors or younger than that. It's truly an all-star team, and really what it is. And when you look at their run to win the Hawaiian state title, it's really tough to kind of take them seriously, because there's only 4 teams in their entire league, and so it's a 4-team tournament. But that does not mean the talent level is anywhere near or is higher than what it suggests, having 4 teams. I mean, this team they were built for this tournament in particular to get to the World Series in North Carolina. That's their expectation when they come in here. And for the kids, it gives them a chance to come to the mainland. Come to the United States mainland and play some baseball in the lower 48. Russell way ahead. Here's the 0-2. Held on to it a bit too long, high 1-2.
And that was a huge strikeout, by the way, for Russell. Just to get that one out on the scoreboard, settle himself down. A lot like a hitter, when you get that, even a walk or make good contact, it could jumpstart your game. Getting a strikeout like that could bode well for Russell here.
Atticus Bryan just staying alive. Fouling it back to the screen. Coach Brian Benjamin in his 3rd year at the helm for the Billings Royals, mixing up the lineup a bit. That was interesting. You win a state title, you would think you'd go with maybe the same 1 through 9. He switched up 6 through 9 in his order here for this game. Couple more lefties are there.
He must know something that we don't.
Hey, that's why he's coaching and we're up here.
Absolutely.
The 1-2 is high.
It was fun to see him after they won the state title this year, too. We were interviewing him. In mid-interview, the kids got to douse him with the Gatorade bath, and he was really excited. He said the Cardiac Royals, winning 5 games by a score of 1 run, kind of took some life years off the old ticker. But he was pretty excited for his kids. His first win, by the way, as a manager for the Royals as well.
Another strikeout. That was an off-speed pitch in there, and Atticus Bryan is down. All of a sudden, you change the mindset. If Russell can get out of this jam with only allowing 2,
huge.
You turn that into momentum for Hawaii.
It's absolutely huge, and you'd expect he's past 20 pitches now, so you'd expect that he probably will be going the rest of the frame here. But for the Royals, you get 2 runs on the scoreboard, but it could be you look at it maybe down the line at the end of this game, a missed opportunity that you couldn't get more runs when the Hawaiian pitcher was kind of shaky a little bit.
Connor Hunter now stepping in, 319 on the season. Sharp liner to second. Staying down on it, though, is Kapuris. He will flip to air ball for the out, and Hawaii gets out of the jam, only allowing 2. The Royals are on the board first, something they're not used to. We will see the Royals and their pitcher, Taylor Friedis, when we come back to Missoula. You're watching Legion Baseball on SWX. Royals up 2-0.